Hello and welcome to another edition of Premier League Predictions. It's week 25 of the Premier League with myself, Matthew Chris from the panel, and a man who's had his hands on the Premier League trophy no less than 4 times, Brian McClair. Brian, I think you got another steady 8 points last week, helped by predicting Ipswich, Southampton on the nose. So not many people would have predicted Southampton to get a win, but you did. So still on the roll, it seems.
Yeah, the form is decent at the moment. Let's hope it can continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've got a bit of a bonus this week, haven't we? Because we got a Merseyside derby that should have been played before Christmas, but thanks to Storm Dara, it was postponed. Now, you initially went for 2-1 Liverpool on when we originally spoke about this game. Are you sticking with your initial decision?
Yeah, despite the bounce under David Moyes and the upturn in the results for Everton, I think that Liverpool have just got a bit too much strength and depth for most teams at the moment. And I think we'll stick with that prediction.
Okay, so we're sticking with Everton 1, Liverpool 2 for our bonus fixture. We've also got a Friday night game, which is slightly unusual, and it's Brighton versus Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea have won for their last 5 Premier League games. They beat Brighton in all of the last 5 meetings. With regards to the transfer window, Chelsea have trimmed their squad with 4 players going out on loan. Perhaps they may be a bit short for cover in the forward department. Brighton haven't won any of the last 5 home games. They'll need to defend a lot better than they did at the City ground, where they conceded 7. Brighton have had 2 wins and 4 draws in the last 17 contests between these 2 teams. And bonus for Brighton is that they resisted millions offered for their winger or wing-back Kaoru Mitoma from Al Nassr. I think Chelsea's continued form in this fixture will be to the 4, and same score, Brighton 1, Chelsea 2.
Okay, 2-1 again. On to Saturday. It's a 12:30 kickoff, and it's struggling Leicester against still title-chasing Arsenal, I suppose you could say.
Of course, yeah. Arsenal couldn't find a goal scorer to fit their purposes after Villa turned down a considerable offer for Ollie Watkins, and it seems they're going to be sticking with their summer plans with regards to recruitment. And there was no morale-boosting signing for Leicester. Leicester hampered by PSR restrictions. They spent a grand total of £2 million in the window. No respite for Leicester and Rude. Leicester 0, Arsenal 2.
Okay, you called Arsenal to beat City, didn't? No. You called Arsenal to beat City last week, didn't you? And they did convincingly. And
well, I wouldn't have seen. I don't think anybody would expect it. Even if you're watching the game, when City got back to 1 each, you think the game could have gone either way. Arsenal got the next goal and then did what City have been very good at against several opponents over a number of years, and scored some goals from breakaway situations. And unlike some games that Arsenal have played in the past, their finishing was pretty spectacular and clinical.
Yeah, maybe that's why they didn't go into the transfer market during the window, after those 5 goals.
Well, I mean, they've always been quite prudent and sensible, I think, with regards to that. I don't know exactly what their pre-season objectives were, but certainly they seem to be going along quite nicely in the most important, or they would, I suppose, consider the most important competitions, which would be the Premier League and the European competition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're on to Saturday. 3 p.m. games on Saturday, and it's Aston Villa versus Ipswich.
Well, Ipswich were always going to be busy in the window, and they've signed 4 senior players as they look to retain their Premier League status. Villa received a big fee for Duran, and have made 5 signings, including Marcus Rashford on loan, with a view to a permanent deal in the summer. looks like a £4 million gamble by Emery at the moment. And also, I suppose it's a good news for Villa fans that Ollie Watkins is staying with them till the end of the season. Aston Villa 3, Ipswich 1.
You mentioned Duran there. I mean, we can't not talk about it. A guy in his early 20s deciding to go to Saudi for a big chunk of money. It's something that didn't really happen in your day. Can you understand it?
Well, I think that he's not been playing as regular as he probably would have liked with the system that Villa have been playing in. Watkins has been in very good form. It would appear that it's a deal that suits all parties, really. A good amount of money for Aston Villa, and I can understand why people would want to go. I don't know what other options were available, or whether actually Villa would have let him go, unless it was what they saw as a big fee, and a lot of that money got reinvested in the players they've recruited as they look to continue their fine form in home and in Europe also.
Yeah, well, I guess he's young enough that we might see him again back in the Premier League or in Europe in a few years. You never know. Next up, Fulham Forest.
Well, it looks as though Espirito Santo didn't want to upset the balance of his squad by buying any players who wouldn't play for Forest. They've had an interesting couple of weeks, going from a 5-0 hiding away to a 7-0 victory at home. Fulham, again, were quiet, resisted big offers from Palmeiras, from Andreas Pereira, one of their key players, and have re-signed the veteran Willian, and a very good win for Fulham in their last game in the North East against Newcastle. Fulham 1, Forest 1.
Okay, I think Forest's going nice and steady. Still looking for that top 4 finish, but
they're still dreaming of Champions League football, which is there was a big dent in it, that away fixture where they lost 5, but they came straight back to show their pedigree and their and the strength, and main strength with regard to their success, which has been the defending. Although I say that plenty of players helped himself to some goals in that game, including a hat trick for Wood.
We're talking of teams looking for Champions League football. Next up, it's Manchester City at home to recent cup final opponents of Liverpool. It's Newcastle.
Well, City have got an opportunity, if they win this game, to go above Newcastle in the table. No signings for Newcastle as they also battle PSR regulations, which I think is very frustrating for their supporters. City are not normally active in winter recruitment, but have made an exception this time, spending $175 million on 6 players, including Omar Marmoush for $63 million, who has already settled into the team. City 3, Newcastle 1.
Okay, City's a bounce back, you say. Next up, it's something of a South Coast derby, I suppose. If you live down that way, it's Southampton at home to Bournemouth.
Well, Bournemouth started this window with injuries to 2 forwards, and they didn't recruit any replacements. Adone Arola thinks it's the most difficult position to recruit, and if you look at several other teams, that would appear to be the case. Although 16 goals in 5 games suggested that they'll be okay with regards to goal scoring, and they didn't lose any of their star players. Of the signings by Southampton, only winger Albert Groenbach is likely to make an immediate impact. Southampton 1, Bournemouth 1.
Okay, and it's a London derby next. It's West Ham against Brentford.
Well, Brentford will be very happy to have retained Brian Mbueno and Johan Visa, despite a bid from Forest for Visa. Graham Potter has gone for what he knows in recruiting striker Evan Ferguson on loan until the end of the season. Ward-Prowse, who has been frustrated by lack of games at Forest, has returned from his loan spell and will feature under Potter for the remainder of the season. To be influential in this game, West Ham 2, Brentford 1.
Okay, and the evening game on Saturday is a Crystal Palace side who recently put your ex-club Manchester United to the sword against recently revived Everton.
Well, Everton's activity again has been determined by PSR rules. They've been very much a tightening of the belt. They have spent 145 million over 6 windows, and if you consider that the average spend in the last window was 100 million per club, shows you the situation Everton are in and the difficulties they face. But it looks as though there'll be a big summer overhaul with a number of players out of contract, new stadium, hopefully still retaining their Premier League status, and a better PSR landscape. 3 wins from 4 has given them some breathing space, of course, from themselves in the relegation zone. Palace tried but failed to find a defender to support the back three that Oliver Glasner has preferred all season. Rejected a massive bid from Spurs for Mark Gueye. And I think Ben Chilwell, who is signed, will be an excellent loan signing for them. And then going back to that game at Old Trafford, I thought Mateta was magnificent in that game, along with the aforementioned back three. And from all reports, Palace once again thoroughly enjoyed a victory at Old Trafford, which has been a very, very happy place for them to go over the last few seasons. Palace 2, Everton 1.
Oh, you surprised me. I thought you were talking like a true Evertonian there when you were big enough Everton and under David Moyes, and then you've given them the sucker punch. But understandable, I suppose, with Palace's recent form. And on that note, it's half time. We're going to make a few changes, talk tactics, and we'll be right back after this break. Hello and welcome back to the second half of this week's Premier League predictions with myself, Matthew Christ, and 4-time Premier League winner Brian McClair. We're on to Sunday's games, and first up it's Liverpool against Wolves, and Liverpool just keep rolling on, don't they, Brian?
Well, they do indeed, Matthew. Wolves, what a great win they had against Villa in their home game, their last Premier League game. I thought they played particularly well, although maybe Villa were suffering a little bit of lag after their very successful campaign in the Champions League. Liverpool, as you said, have had a very measured approach by Liverpool. None of their, in the transfer window, none of their long-term targets were available. And they've now got, particularly with Gomez and Alexander-Arnold almost back to full fitness, 2 players for each position, 2 very good players for each position. And in the summer, we'll see the Van Dijk, Salah and Alexander-Arnold situations clarified with regards to where they're going to be, if they remain on Meredith's side or seek their football future in other parts of the world. But nothing seems to have distracted from their performances, and indeed Liverpool as a team's performance. Liverpool 4, Wolves 0.
Well, I mean, there you go. If that was to come true, then at what stage do we start saying now, well, yeah, the league's pretty much over? I mean, if this was Manchester City 6-9 points clear at this stage of the season, everyone would be saying that the league's over and it's a done deal and there's no competition. But I think everyone's a little bit worried to crown Liverpool just yet. But it's good. At some point, they're going to have to sort of accept that the position they're in.
There's a bit left, isn't there? I mean, and with regards to the last number of games to play, with 1 or 2 fixtures that could be a problem. However, Liverpool are very much in the ascendancy, and they've got the advantage of some breathing space between them and Arsenal at the moment, and they can go with a different mindset to some games and perhaps come away with a draw with some of the bigger games they've got left or some of their closest opponents. But they're continue to do well. And I wouldn't say that it's spectacular for Liverpool in terms of their history, but they're doing the right things by winning games when they're perhaps not quite at top form, which indeed they did last time in their away fixture. So I think that they're got everything going for them at the moment. As I said, no injury problems, strong squad. Managers continue to pick teams that are winning games, and some of those games have been pretty comfortable, particularly at home, where they've only lost one game, but their real, I suppose, strength has been away, where they haven't lost at all.
Yeah, and if you can go through a season without losing away, you're always going to give yourself a chance. Last but not least, how do we build this one? Tottenham versus Manchester United.
Two teams in the bottom half of the Premier League.
Any kind of new manager bounce that United might have had seems to have been deflated, and what we say about Tottenham, who knows?
Yeah, well, United's found solution to two problems that have been created, or that has been there for Amorim, in that and those problems were the Rashford situation, and then the new recruit Patrick Dorgu. It looks as though they've got the left wing back that Amorim has been looking for, although I think he's a player that certainly been versatile. I don't think he's actually played in that position, so Amorim seems to have faith that he'll be able to do the job that he is expected from a tactical point of view. Certainly from a physical point of view, it shouldn't be a problem for him. Trimmed the wages bill also with Malacia and Anthony also going on loan. Unwanted statistic in that Amorim's the quickest Manchester United manager to go to 5 home defeats by any manager in history, apart from a short spell by Walter Crickmere, who was really the secretary and was only standing in. Martinez, of course, is a big blow, because key to that back three that Amorim very much enjoys. I'm not sure he's enjoying it, but he favours 14 points in 13 games. My thinking now is that they need 11 more points to retain their Premier League status. And I've said this a number of times, not just this season, but I've said it before seasons, because that seems to me how the way things were going, when you look at the makeup of the squad, and you're hoping again that United also are sort of hampered by PSR, and that should improve for them in the next window in the summer. But yeah, no, I think that I say that I know it's a bit of to be a glib comment, but I think it's retaining the status as a Premier League team is the most important thing for Amorim.
I mean, unbelievable, really, to think of it like that, but it's true. And first of all, give us a prediction on the game.
Well, with regards to Spurs, Matthias Tell had decided to remain in Bavaria with Bayern Munich until Ange Postecoglou persuaded them to move to North London in one of the highest profile moves in the transfer window. Spurs won, United won.
Well, I think that might be a record. I can't remember the last time you didn't predict United to win. Maybe you're changing your tactics and hoping that you're going to double jinx them. But I just wanted to ask you about
the two teams that are struggling, really, isn't it?
Both happy to take a point in a basement battle. But what do you make of the Rashford situation? Do you think that's a good move for him?
Well, I think it's good if a player is happy to leave one club and go to another club. However, with regards to the chatter around about it, there must be some disappointment that it wasn't the aforementioned, certainly media-wise, Borussia Dortmund or Juventus or AC Milan or Barcelona. I suppose the benefit of moving to Villa and where their training ground is situated is that you can remain at home and commute to training every day. I think it's a gamble more for Villa, considering all the things that have surrounded Marcus, not just this season, but seasons before. And all it means for success for Unai Emery is if he'll run around a bit more than he did for Manchester United.
Well, I will finish by saying we shall see. And that brings us to the end of this week's Premier League predictions. Don't forget to give us your thoughts, whether you agree, whether you disagree with Brian, whether he's jinxed your club, or anything you might want to say about Brian's predictions for week 25. We'll see how he gets on, and we'll be back next time. We'll see you then.